I come from hell. I come from hell. And a lot of it I created, not just society. Yeah, society helped me out, but I created a lot of the hell that I had to go through. I made this picture out to be a lot worse than what it was. It was bad, but I made it out to be, insurmountable. So yeah, we can be our worst enemy. People love to bitch and complain about everything. So when you're sitting there, you may spend weeks, months, years bitching about the same thing. So what have you done? Nothing. You have to have the truth to have a starting point. So when if I'm lying to you about who I am, or I'm lying to you about whatever, there's no starting point. There's a false reality. Right. You have to create the real reality. So that's what I call my accountability mirror in my book. That's the real reality. Where the am I gonna start from? So for me, I was lying to this, lying about that, so I had no starting point. Once you come face to face with who you are, you have a starting point. All right, I'm not real smart. I have no courage. I have no self-esteem. I have no nothing. Nothing. That's my starting point. Now we can move from there. But if I tell myself I'm strong, I have courage, I'm smart, and all these are lies, you continuously push that starting point backwards. So that starting point is the truth. The no bullshit truth that only you can tell yourself. So it's the starting point. The truth's the starting point. The only way I became successful was going towards the truth. As painful and as brutal as it is, it changed me. It allowed me to become, in my own right, who I am today. It's easy for me to sit back and say, you know what? Poopy pants mentality. I want to sit back and let the world take care of me now. And that's what I'm talking about. Don't play sick too long. While my childhood was so messed up, I played sick way too long, and I almost lost tons of opportunities by playing sick. Because it feels good to play sick. My dad beat the shit out of me, man. I couldn't read. I can't read. When I was a junior in high school, I couldn't read. If you live that life, it feels good for people to, oh man, that's just David, man. He's just not real smart, and he had a bad life. And you get a get out of jail free card. That's nice. It sucks doing what I had to do to get here today. That was not fun. That darkness is not, there's nothing that dark to drive me to the places I had to go to become successful. On the flip side of that, if you come from a silver spoon family, you have to realize that. You have to realize, fuck, there's people out there like David Goggins who had nothing. And I've had all this opportunity in front of me, and I'm a loser. I'm not shit. So what does that say about me? The conversations are very similar. You have all this opportunity and you've gone nowhere with it. I'm at the bottom of the barrel, and it could take me a lot longer just to get where you're at for the starting line, to be fair. Are you accountable for what you're doing? Are you accountable, and I mean to the T, for what you're saying? I am. And that's where it started. It started with that total accountability of, let's not lie today. Let's tell people the truth about who you are. And when you can get on and tell someone, like I'm doing right now, exactly how f***ed up you are, that's the goal in life. To put your life on a billboard, on the busiest road, in the busiest highway in the world, and say, this is how f***ed up I used to be. Take it or leave it. Who I am and who I say I am. No more lies. No more skirting the truth. No more bullshit. And that is worth every dime I've ever made in my life. I invented a mother. I actually sat back when I was fat, nasty, out of shape, miserable, and created a human being in my mind that didn't even exist. And said, that's what I want to be. I want to be that guy. I want to be a guy that's capable of doing exactly what I'm doing today. And you have to, if you weren't born that guy, that mentally strong guy, he can be made. Woman, man, whatever the hell you are. It can be made. But in making that person, you have to be able to turn down book deals. You have to be who the you are every day of your life, and never care about anybody who gets in your way that said you're not doing something the proper way. I was always afraid of people not wanting to, like, when you get beat as bad as I did, I lied all the time. I wanted to be accepted and loved and all that shit that I created about 50 people. Whatever you like, I like. Just if you would be my friend, just be my friend. And that's where we get lost in life. We all have two people. We all have two people. And I'm not saying you're crazy. We have the easy voice, which is that 20% telling yourself that I'm easy at 90% of my full potential, maybe 100% at that 20%. That's that voice that we all love. That's that very comfortable voice, that's that mommy holding you saying it's gonna be okay. Doesn't care how good you are, just loves you. Just loves you no matter how messed up you are in life. That's where you wanna be at. So that's that one voice. This other voice that we walk very far away from is a voice saying, hey man, you ain't doing shit. So we try to get this voice out of our head completely. And we live over here in this land. So what you have to do first is turn up this voice over here. The voice saying things to you that aren't nice. That it's in our head saying, you know what, man, dude, you're not doing shit. You're not I mean, and it's not putting yourself down. People take this the wrong way in this new society. I'm not saying to put yourself down. I'm saying listen to the truth. And the truth isn't in the 20%. The truth is in this other part of your brain saying, look, man, you're wasting a bunch of percentage here. We have 80 more percent that we're not tapping into because in this other 80% is suffering, pain, failure, self-doubt, darkness, and then a whole bunch of light. But to get to this light, you gotta go through all of this shit. So a lot of us know that. We know I can get over here, but over here, man, this is much better because I gotta go through this journey that is not fun. This from 20 to 100%, this shit in between is not fun. So we decide to live over here. So everybody goes, how do you do that? You know exactly how to do that. You know exactly, it's not a magic trick. There's nothing I talk about in that book that's a magic trick. It's all back down to a very primitive mindset of we just have to do. It's like breathing. Breathing becomes normal. Like we don't even know that we're doing it. That's how you have to live your life. When that alarm clock goes off at 4 or 5 in the morning, your mind says no. You just say, it's just what we do. It's what we do now. Because to get to where you want to go, the amount of pain involved, I'm not saying physical, I'm not saying you got to break yourself off. The amount of mental pain of how many times you're going to have to do something that you don't want to do to get to where you want to go is going to be, there's going to be more times you do something that you don't want to do than you are going to want to do it. And that's your new norm. That's your new norm. So then it's like breathing. And then once you do this over and over and over again, it becomes like breathing. I don't want to live this lifestyle, but to get to the other side of this, I have to. So if you really want it, you realize what trying is and what trying is not. Get up, mother. You're not good enough. You gotta work harder. You haven't put enough time in. It's that voice you want to run away from. It's that voice you don't want to hear. But guess what? It's that voice you need to listen to. Stay hard. Listen to the whisper. If you're willing to suffer and go back in the grind, that internal dialogue you have with yourself when you're in misery and you're uncomfortable, it's a real, scary, unfiltered, no lying dialogue between you and yourself. And people know exactly what the I'm talking about when you're in a bad spot in life and your mind is saying all kind of shit. That's who you really are. That's the real you. That's where the growth happens. When you're able to stay in that moment and talk yourself back into the suck of wherever you're going through, and you start stripping those layers away, But as you're stripping those layers away, you're building calluses over top of shit in your mind. That's where the growth starts to happen, is when you have to force yourself to stay in it. You can't leave it.
I'm 50 years old, okay? I'll be 51 in February. When you live this many years, what happens is it takes about a good 10 years of people telling you and you experiencing how up life is. The highs and the lows of life. I can pack that mother in 80 some hours and I can get, so the knowledge comes from the experience, not the race. It's not about the race. So like I said, like my life, if I were to take the first 10 years from 20 to 30, I learned a lot. Whatever it is. All I've done with these races is I condensed 10 years into 80 some hours. That makes sense?
Yeah, of course.
Are you sure it makes sense?
Yeah.
The highs and lows you experience in a race like this, man, it gives you a lifetime of knowledge. And people get it off twisted, they don't understand it. And that's fine. But these people aren't trying to win the race, some are. These people are here trying to find themselves. And the answers they get on the other side of this journey, they can only get by doing some shit like this. Suffering, my friend, suffering makes you a very knowledgeable person.
Suffering, if you know how to do it without making it out to be like, oh, I'm not talking about you have to go through cancer, but I guarantee one thing, man, I bet you a better mentally, if you look at it the right way. Everything I went through in my life, every bad thing I went through in my life, the 2 heart surgeries, all the name calling, being everything I went through. If you learn how to flip that on top of his head and say, hang on, there's so much power in this thing. And if you look at life as it is a trial ground, a testing ground for where you need to belong, where you need to go, suffering is a fact of life. If you look at suffering the right way, it's a great tool to callous your mind. If you look at it as suffering, woe is me, this is bullshit, God kicking rocks. If you look at it like, okay, you tested me now. I get it. Whenever I'm being like depressed, I go through depressed moments, I go, oh, hang on. I'm getting tested. So you have to be aware of all the signals and signs that are being given to you from the world. One of them is if you feel bad, you're being tested. How are you going to perform under that? And that's suffering is a part of life. All this came from here. It came from me putting myself on the hot seat and then saying, okay, wow, okay, 297, this is where my mind was at. To get to 187, this is where my mind went to go through 3 hell weeks, to run 205 miles, to do 4,030 pull-ups. And I'm a natural born fat guy. Even though I was born 175, I gained 125 pounds. I was lazy. That's who I am. I'm a guy that likes to sit back, watch TV, and eat pizza. Like everybody. That's the mama voice. And for a guy that never had that, like me, I love my mom, but she was working. All I crave is that mama voice. Please love David, love David. That voice got me to 297 pounds. Whatever I wanted, I did. And that's where I started seeing myself get further and further away from my true self. And your true self is found, honestly, in that very uncomfortable zone.
Well, everybody, it's Groundhog's Day again for David Goggins. If you pan it down here, you see it's about 3 o'clock in the morning and there's not a car or a person in sight. If you pan over here, it's the same thing. Not a car or a person in sight. People want to know where I find my strength at, where I get my strength. I get it from a lot of places, but right now, this morning, I'm getting it from, there's not a mother that's up. There's not a car, there's not a person. Everybody's in their bed, sleep, dreading that it's a Monday, hate it's a Monday. And I'm loving it. I'm loving that. Where everybody's getting weaker, I'm getting stronger. It's not about the running, the swimming, the push-ups, the sit-ups. It's about what those things do for your mentality. You don't get better on the daggone couch. You get better by coming out here and getting after it every daggone day.
And all I knew back then was hard work. The only way anything gets accomplished. That's all I heard back in those days. You gotta work hard. You gotta work hard. I'm not getting I can't get this paragraph. I can't remember what the in this paragraph to pass this test to get in the military. Read it again. Still not getting it. Read it again. But if you're not getting it, write it out. And that's how I started learning. Okay, well, I gotta write out everything I do. And then write it out again, and write it out again. And guess what happened? I got it. I got it. I can't swim. I'm negative buoyant. Go back again. I can't swim. Go back again. Go back again. Go back again. I got it. I realized if I keep going back and going back and going back until the shit just becomes, your mind will say, okay, we're gonna figure it out.
It'll find a way.
Because he is not going to stop. It's not like I'm gonna try one more time. No, it's just like alarm clock goes off, boop, we're going back. I can't read right, we're going back. I gave myself no way out, and my mind realized that. They said, okay, we're gonna adapt and overcome now. There always had to be a new norm. So one thing we don't do is we don't have a new norm. My new norm is you get up every morning at 4 o'clock and you suffer. This is your new norm. That became my new life. Most people want to get out of it. I said, no, motherfucker, this is your new life. This is who you are. Your new norm is you wake up and you suffer. And I started realizing if that's my mentality, this shit ain't hard anymore. When I was in Navy SEAL training, people go, how were you there for 18 months? The program was only 6 months long. You were in 3 hell weeks in 1 year. No one's ever done that. How did you do that? I talk about the new norm. When I lived in a $7 a month place when I was growing up for a short period of time, I loved it. I didn't know any different. That was my norm. Once we moved out of that place, we moved to a $236 a month place. I was like, shit, I never want to go back to that little piece of shit. But if you go back to that $7 a month place and you realize this is where I live, this is all I got. Your mind says, roger that, this is home. So when I was going through Navy SEAL training for 18 months and going back through all the hard parts over and over again, I told myself after the first time, I knew it was gonna be a long journey there. My body was breaking down. It was just how it was going on. I said, you know what, this is my new norm. So my mind said, it's like going to work. Like you go to work and put your suit and tie on, I go into suffering every day. Every day suffering, being broken, duct taping my feet up, stress fractures, shin splints, being broken. This is my new norm. And your mind says, if we're not broken, this ain't normal. We gotta be broken. So then your mind starts to get tougher and tougher and more callous. People, how did you run on broken feet? Broken shins. My mind knew this is how we operate. We're in Navy SEAL training. This is what we are. I became hell. And that became my new norm. I gave myself no way out. There was nothing outside these walls of hell. Nothing. I love God, but for a short period of time, I became the devil because that was hell. I became the boss, the owner, the CEO of Navy SEAL training. That was my mindset. And that's how you get through things. You immerse yourself in wherever it is, and you become that. You become that and give yourself no way out. I went through training, 100-mile races, 200-mile races, pull-up records, all on the mind. It wasn't a physical thing I had. I was broken, literally broken at the start line of everything I did, including Navy SEAL training, Ranger School, everything I did in the military, I was But I didn't sit back and say, hey man, so no one knew. I realized how the brain works. I figured out how the brain works. I'm a scared kid, and that's what gives me so much power. I had no foundation, and I built this off of just researching the mind. The feeling you get is basically invincibility. You realize that you can't do it all the time. When you need to do it, I know I can go to a place that I can live in. And when you know that you can run on broken legs and you can do certain things that a lot of people can do, but they're not willing to do, this power, this sympathetic nervous system of fight or flight, and you're fighting, it gives you this charge of energy of when you're sitting there at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and you're duct taping your feet up because they're broken, and you're doing it by yourself, and you're going through arguably one of the hardest training in the world. And these guys, most of them are healthy, and you're going through it broken, and you're already at a disadvantage, but you're still there. You can feed into that and tap into that for a lot of power. But if you look at it, well, I'm broken, man. I'm not gonna make it. But if you look at it as, man, I'm broken and I'm still here. And I'm fighting and I'm gonna find a way to get through this because I have no other place to go. It gives you a lot of power. You're gonna have to suffer, man. This 0.25, man, this is, man, you're gonna have to suffer to go from this fat, insecure mother to one of the best guys on the planet Earth. This journey is gonna take something that is gonna be incomprehensible to most people. And these different visualizations, how I visualize in my self-talk, it became so nasty and dirty that I almost liked the fact that I went 0.25. So it became from being defeated to like, man, all right, maybe tomorrow we can go 0.75. It just became this different mindset. I turned negatives into positives. So I would take it like, who would even think about doing this? So I would sit on my couch saying, who at 297, who can't swim that great, who's scared of the water, would have the balls, to man up, quit a job, and go and just put everything on himself. So it's how I started talking to myself and putting myself in a whole different category, and that would fuel me the next day, and I just kept using that as fuel. No one would do this shit. No one would do this shit. You're the baddest motherfucker around. You're the baddest motherfucker to live. And I just kept fueling me with the right kind of message that I needed to hear that I was never telling myself. And through time, it became reality to myself. A lot of us don't know of a whole nother world that exists. It's on the other side of suffering. Once you break these barriers that you have made for yourself, like the mind is the most powerful thing in the world. It is so amazing that I used to be a 300-pound guy and I thought that was it. Could barely read, could do anything, and now that what was inside that person was this guy that's in front of you today. That's how scary the mind is. And that's what I started realizing through this journey, is that once I got a taste of, wow, man, I haven't even begun to crack what the mind is capable of. And what I started realizing is on the other end of suffering, that's the real growth of life, because you realize how the mind processes shit. And I talk about another thing called theory and practice. A lot of people are theorists. These smart guys that read these books and shit, man, and they sit down, they tell you what the mind is supposed to do. And a lot of us listen to that shit. It becomes like, this is it, man. This old man who has been studying the mind forever, this is the cap that we have. By being a practitioner, I went out and realized a lot of these guys are so wrong, man. The mind has capabilities that are so unknown, and I found that through suffering. And there's a whole nother world on the other end of that. I became the most obsessed person on the planet Earth. And I was basically, I had to invent a guy that didn't exist. I had to invent a guy that can take any pain, any suffering, any kind of judgment, be called whatever the in the world, and be able to stand in the room and say, go yourself. I had to build this callous mind, and I built it through suffering. I built it through downright just crushing myself. If it was raining outside at 3 o'clock in the morning, if it was snowing, the first instinct is don't go out there and do shit. My instinct was, we gotta go out there. Anything that was horrible in my life that I would normally say no, that was inhumane to most people, I had to go do it. And I started callousing my mind at this point in my life. And I lost the weight. I taught myself everything in my whole life. I'm not a theorist, people. There's a bunch of people who are theorists who go to the library, study the mind. They study it in a book. I studied it by being a practitioner. I put my mind in hell, and I realized how it was thinking. And I figured out tools and tactics on how to get through it.
by being in it, not by studying it, by being in it. And literally, that's how I started callousing over. You know how, so I did, I did 67,000 pull-ups in 9 months, and it calloused my hands. It calloused my hands real good to protect my hands against the bar. I started learning how to callous my mind, to callous over my victim's mentality. And that's what I did.
One thing important is that we all have these moments in time that either make you or break you, that can determine the rest of your life. The rest of your life can be determined by one simple decision. 19 years ago, 300 pounds, I was spraying for cockroaches. I made a decision to try to be a Navy SEAL. My whole goal was to go on this path every day after work and to run 1 mile to 1.5 miles. This rock was about the 0.5 mark in my run. This rock was a moment that should have broken me. I got 0.5 into it. I weighed 297 pounds. I sat on this rock and I had a decision to make. I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. There wasn't some inspirational quote. There wasn't nothing. It was me, myself, and it was freezing out here. I had to make a decision. The decision I make was to get up and keep on going. That one moment changed the rest of my life.
Through discipline, through self-discipline, through repetition, through tons of repetition of the same thing that you don't want to do. And that's the key thing. Through repetition of things you don't want to do, you develop mental, like an armor for your mind. Start to armor your mind, because your mind's like, okay, we suffer every day. That's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day. So then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it. When I was 297 pounds and I was fat as hell trying to be a Navy SEAL, the scariest thing in the world to me, even to this day, was that could have been the rest of my life. I thought then I was trying hard. That's the scariest thing in the world. I thought then, 297 pound, working for Ecolab, spraying for cockroaches, making $1,000 a month. I thought that was me at my 100% potential. Come to find out, a few years later, I wasn't anywhere near that. 106 pounds less, graduate Navy SEAL training, went on to do all these other things. Looking back on that, that was me trying hard. That's why people gotta understand, what is in us, we have no idea until we start trying hard. And I mean really trying hard, where you're obsessed with, hey, this is my new norm. My new norm is that, wow, this isn't always fun. It's not always meant to be fun. And that's when you know you're trying hard. I have this haunting voice in the back of my head. A lot of us have it. Yeah. We just ignore it. And it was there for years. So I knew in the back of my mind that I could pull off this whatever. But I was afraid of the work, because I wasn't gifted with brains. I wasn't gifted with God-given talent as far as like athleticism. So I knew to get to where I had to go, to be on the same playing field as these men, to even try out for this program, I knew the work was gonna be something that I didn't want to even attack. So I was just putting it off.
But yet you did it.
Because it haunted me. The voice in my head said, you know what, man, you're gonna die never even trying to reach your full potential. And how's that gonna feel? So you have to be a hard worker, period, dot. You gotta work your ass off. Because every day, I wake up out of my bed, and there's my shoes. My shirt, my shorts, depending on the weather. There's some days I wake up, and I just look at the mother for hours. And then I start walking around the house. And I say, I don't even run today. I'm not doing shit today. Nothing. I don't have to. I did all that shit. I don't need all this shit. I went through all this hell weeks and got my ass kicked all the time and made it. I'm not doing this shit for it. And that's when I think. I got 2.3 million followers on Instagram. This ain't about you anymore, motherfucker. This ain't about your ranger schools and getting beat as a kid and shit. You have an obligation, not to yourself, but to everybody out there that is touched by what you do as a human being. While nobody knows what I'm doing, no one is videoing me and shit, I am a virtual trainer mentally Because there's a lot of people out there saying, man, David Goggins is after today. And if I wake up one morning and don't do that, I go back to that David Goggins who lied about being who he wanted to be. So my thing that keeps me going every day is my mission in life. While I did not choose it, I'm an introvert and I hate what we're doing even right now, is to always stay the course. You man the up every day of your life because you know exactly what it is to not man up. I've done that too many times in my life. So that's what keeps me going.